Hi, my name is Matt Carroll with World Class Coaching, and with the help of Academy Sports Coach 2024, I want to talk to you about a session that I ran actually tonight. I ran the session for a U9 girls team we have at the club. There was an opening at the club, and they asked me to fill a spot for a season until the other coach can get started up. So I'm taking that on right now, and I have a 7-year-old daughter myself, so I know kind of the difficulties that comes with that age group. It's really awesome, but there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of things going on, a lot of them trying to figure things out, just how life works in general. They're kind of becoming aware of things, and 7, 8, 9, it's a crazy age. So kind of took it out a little trepidation, a little worried, but got my first session and was pleasantly surprised. With the boys at that age, it's a lot of energy. It's a lot of energy. It's craziness. You're we call it herding cats. With the girls, it's a little more subdued than I thought it was going to be. A lot of good questioning, a lot of good discussion, and things like that. I was really impressed with the maturity of the girls. So I want to kind of run through the session here, and I'd love to hear in the comment section kind of things that you do differently. Again, I'm not really, I have a daughter, but she's not really into the sport. She kind of, she's way more into gymnastics and really just hanging out with her friends. So it's not like we're going out to the park every weekend. So I haven't really interacted in terms of training wise with this age group. So it's very new to me. So if you got any comments or suggestions, let me hear them. So what I did was I just did some of the basic stuff I normally do with, my starter sessions. Just a kind of why will this not work? There we go. Just a kind of a bunch of different drills that I utilize to just kind of gauge kind of where it's at, some basic stuff. So the first one I do kind of all the time with every age group. I really like this one because it's just getting a lot of reps in really quickly. There's not a lot of downtime, but the focus is in one area, so you can see when you're coaching, you're focused on this area, and you can watch 4 players basically go through a move at the same time, rather than them being one at a time. There's a lot of waiting, or there's a lot of little groups, and you can't kind of catch everything at once. So the player runs up to this cone, pulls a move, and they go here, and then at every single cone that's happening. So they're going up to the cone, and the coaching points I really focused on here with the girls was focusing on how far away you are from the cone. So if I talked to them, I said, if you hit the cone, what is that? Oh, we hit a defender. If we pull our move too early, what's happening? I was like, we're just dancing, right? And they kind of responded to that. So they started pulling their moves, and we did L turns, and they seemed pretty well versed with that. So they ran through that. We did righty, lefty, and what I did from there, then I did step overs, and it seems like that's something maybe they hadn't worked on yet. So we were doing a step over, and at first I was like, all right, let's just give it a shot, and it was kind of a disaster. Some girls know how to do it. Some girls would do it scissors. Some girls would just run up to the cone and just kind of like just run to the next cone because they really know what's going on. So what I had them do is I stopped it. I had them line up at this one yellow cone, and then I had them run to me and pull the move. Now there was some downtime, but I had them watching what was going on, and then when they were done, I had them run over to the. I said, "There's an area over here. Run over to this area, and then practice it standing still." Okay. And the way I talked about it was, I try to use verbiage they can repeat. You don't want to say like very technical stuff. So I said, cast the spell when they had their little legs wave over the ball. And I talked about going from the outside of the ball to the inside of the ball, outside to inside of the ball. And I would constantly kind of repeat those concepts over and over again, talking to them about, why we're doing it as well. We talked about we want the defender to freeze like a tree. We want them stuck in the mud. We want them to stay, still. So we want to fake them one way, and then we want to drive the other way. So that's why we're doing this. And I think it's really important when you're teaching skill moves like that is you're explaining what the purpose of it is, so they can use it in actual games. They like, oh, this is a move that if I want to do this, I should do this. I'm trying to get by a defender. I'm trying to go into space. So we talked about that as well, getting their defender stuck in the mud, driving into space. And then I had them go back into this drill, and then I had them try it again. And there was definite improvement, definitely some girls, and they got real pumped when they got it right. And then we did lefty, and then it kind of all fell apart again. We tried the whole process again and got that going. So for me, that was a lot of like slowing it down. But for the girls' game, it just felt they were paying attention more, more than the boys. That the boys have a little more of a lot more energy, a lot of pace, but I think a little much shorter attention span. And they are all like, I'm Ronaldo, and then I'm gonna do scissor anyway. So that was just kind of a different experience for me. They were very focused in, very organized. So that was I thought that was pretty effective. And where we went from there was we did a pretty simple one, just the gate game, where we talked about you have pairs of players pair up. The first time you go through, you don't count, you don't time it, but you count, and it's how many passes you can make through each of the gates. So I'd have a gate over here, and after you did this, they would run over, and they would go and pass through this gate. And I had them count the first time, and we talked about what could we do to make it easier. What made it hard first, and then they were like, "Well, we're running into people. We don't know where the other person's going. So, like, okay, how can we solve these problems?" And they said we can talk. So I said that's a verbal cue. And then they said we can point, like that's a visual cue. And then one girl even said, she's like, "Well, what if we make it so wherever the dribbler goes, that's where we go?" I'm like, "Oh, now you're using tactics. You're made a tactic, and we're going to use that tactic." She was beaming. So she did that, and they scored really high. So then the next time we did it, we counted it, and it's like, if you lost, you got to do jumping jacks. And so we went from there. So I thought that was really fun and nice. I was worried, but I thought, pretty early in the session, I was very happy with how things were going. So what I did for them from here after doing some of the technical stuff is I really wanted to focus on and view their ability to build out the back. Our club is putting a big push for that, for all the teams to be able, especially at the younger ages, to work on building from the back. So the first drill we did was we took neutrals over here and just a 3v3 or 2v2, depending on what you got. And we did passing here, where you had to pass to this player, who then could pass out, and then the goal was then to go to the player on the opposite end. So you could go to this player and then go to this player, or go to this player and then go to this player. So we're working on that and just working on their spatial awareness and their ability to turn, first touch, they're able to switch the field. And I was really impressed with some of their spatial awareness. We had a lot of switches of the field, a lot of finding the back post and things like that. So we worked on that drill. And then where we went from there, and this is where they really had fun. I like this one a lot, just because it's just, if you don't have goalies or you're in a tight area, it's just a great way to get a full scale game in essence. And they just love the idea of knocking the balls off. So we had a ball on each of these cones. And we did 3v3s. So we had about 11 girls. So we had a team of 3, 2, and 3 and 3. And then 3 came on, and then 2 came on, and 1 girl stayed. And we just kind of kept rotating if they took a shot and missed, or if they hit the ball and scored. And no longer than 2 minutes. So they were watching. And towards the end, we played for about 15 minutes. Towards the end, some girls were kind of not paying attention. But I thought the rotation was quick enough that they were getting in. They weren't losing focus. And sometimes I caught them talking about what's going on the field. So what I'm trying to look for here is, do we have, let's say, 3 defenders here? We're on the ball here, and are we? Don't need that defender. And are we looking then to switch to find the backside and find a finish here? And I was pleasantly surprised we did that a lot. Where we found the issue was we had a build out. We did a kick out. So we had player here, player here. So this wasn't initially something I really wanted to focus on, but I after seeing it, I thought it was kind of a point we want to make. So I took them aside, I walked them through it. At the end of practice, I walked through it with cones, and then I had them use the cones and show me when I told them. But we talked about interchange of position. So if this player runs here, whoops. If this player runs here, then it's going to drag the defenders. So this player should take that space and find it. And we talked about it a couple times, and a couple times they were kind of standing still. They didn't really know what to do. But then eventually they kind of saw it would work, and then you saw every team doing it and really starting to open up the field, and it was very tough for the defenders to pick it up. So we're getting a lot better build-up play, a lot better spatial awareness, a lot more communication, a lot more visual and verbal cues. So overall, I was pretty happy with the session. I think it was a little hectic. We played in a very tight space for our winter sessions. We got moved to a very tight field, so it's always kind of a concern with the goals being so close and all the stuff. So organizationally, I think I need to clean things up a little bit. But it's kind of a whirl with them because it was just energy, but a very focused energy. So I'd say I think the session went pretty well. I'd love to hear some of the things you would clean up here and there, or some ways to kind of make it flow a little bit better, or some more topics to introduce in terms of build out play for that age group, just to kind of simplify things and make it make sense for them. So I'd love to hear those in the comments. But this was my session with my U9 girls tonight, working on build out play. So one more time, my name is Matt Carroll for World Class Coaching with the help of Academy Sports Coach 2024. I hope the session finds you well.